Hi, my name is Tammy Rogers. Today, I am reading a story that was written for this Vacation Bible School program based on the book of Acts, chapter 2, verses 1 through 42. This story attempts to follow the style of Lindsay Hardin Freeman's Stories in The Spy at Jacob's Ladder and The Spy on Noah's Ark. How the church came to be, the story of Pentecost as told by the wind. You know me, but you have never seen me. You surely have seen what I can do, but you've never really seen me. I am sure you've heard me because I can be very loud, but I can also be as quiet as a whisper. I can be strong and powerful enough to destroy things, but I can also be gentle and help things to grow. I am the wind. I could bluster about all the things that I can do, like create waves, tornadoes, cool breezes, and my favorite thing, helping trees to dance. But I think that I would like to tell you about a special day, the day that the church was created. I was there, and I got to be a part of this strange, wild, and wonderful day called Pentecost. Jesus had spent time with his friends before going up into the heavens in a great big cloud. His friends, the disciples, were not quite sure what they should do next. Before he left them, Jesus told his friends to stay in Jerusalem and wait for something. He told them that while John the Baptist had baptized people with water, the disciples would be baptizing with the Holy Spirit. They knew that if Jesus said something was going to happen, it would. They trusted him. So they waited together in one room, wondering what was going to happen next and when. I was curious too. So I fluttered and gently swirled about the room to see what would happen. Do you remember I said earlier that you knew me, but you could not see me? Well, that's how the Holy Spirit is too. You can't see the Holy Spirit, but it surrounds us all, and it's powerful. Suddenly, I felt something and heard something. It sounded like a mighty wind, but I knew that it was something different, something grand by the way it roared and rushed into the room. Every space in the house was filled as it howled and blew. It was wonderful. If only you could have seen the disciples' faces. They were astonished. They had been waiting for something, but they never expected something so awesome. And they certainly were not expecting to be invisible. What happened next even astonished me. I noticed that each of Jesus' friends had what looked like flames dancing above their heads. Their faces were shining. They were so happy. I realized that they were filled with the Holy Spirit, and it was bursting out of them. Now, you might think that this is the end of my story, but I have more to tell you. All at once, the disciples began speaking in different languages that they'd never spoken until that very moment. You can't begin to imagine what it sounded like with the wind and all the different languages that were being spoken at once. I swirled and floated outside to see if the people outside had any idea what was happening in the house. There were people from every land and nation living in Jerusalem, and they spoke many different languages. They knew something strange was happening. They heard the noise coming from inside the house and gathered around to see what was causing all the commotion. They could not believe what they were seeing and what they were hearing. They knew that the disciples were from Galilee and did not know other languages. But somehow, all of a sudden, they were able to tell the crowd about the mighty works of God in all the languages that the people could understand. The crowd was not sure what to think. They wondered what it meant. Some even thought that the disciples had been drinking too much wine and were drunk. Since I had been in the house, I knew that what the crowd was seeing and hearing was not because of too much wine, but rather it was the Holy Spirit at work in each of the disciples. I now realized why Jesus told his friends to stay in Jerusalem. This is what they had been waiting for. This was the different kind of baptism that Jesus had promised them would happen. Peter, one of the disciples, stood up and told everyone that they were seeing and hearing the power of the Holy Spirit. He began to preach about so many important things: Old Testament prophets, God's power and wonder, Jesus' life, death, and resurrection. He had so much energy and passion as he talked to the people. The people asked Peter what they should do, and Peter told them that if they believed in Jesus, they could be saved from their sins and also be given the gift of the Holy Spirit. That was a powerful invitation. I floated and moved around between all the people. I made sure to blow gently so all the people could hear Peter's words. 3,000 people became a part of the community that day. They heard the good news about Jesus, and the church was born. That was just the beginning. All of those people continued to gather together to share meals, say prayers, and see the Holy Spirit at work in their lives. They told their friends and neighbors the good news about those. Friends and told more friends, and those friends told more friends, and the church grew and grew, and still does today, every time someone shares the story. The next time you hear me whisper, roar, or feel a gentle breeze across your face, you too should know that you are surrounded by the Holy Spirit. I wonder, in the story, the wind knew the Holy Spirit was at work in the room. How do you think the disciples knew? I wonder why the Holy Spirit gave the disciples the gift of speaking and hearing in other languages. Why was it so important that everyone could understand? I wonder if you've ever felt the Holy Spirit or seen the Holy Spirit at work. I wonder how many people you tell the story to. What do you wonder about this story?